Hi, my name's Scott. I'm from Townsville, Queensland, and this is my Parkinson's story. I was first diagnosed pretty much 2 years almost to the day. So it was 2019, 38 years old. Basically, what was happening was I noticed I had changed positions in the job that I'm doing, and I sort of was sitting at the computer more, and I noticed I was getting pain and almost very mild tremors in my right hand. And then it progressed to doing repetitive actions with my right arm became difficult to do. And I went, oh, let's go to the GP. I didn't think anything. I actually initially thought it was just an RSI. Went to my GP, and the GP said, oh yeah, look, I'll send you to the neurologist. I very much doubted Parkinson's. I didn't think anything of it, went about my business. Then I went to the neurologist here in Townsville, did a few of the movements tests and whatever he does, and I will never forget the day, and he just said, oh look, my diagnosis is Parkinson's. And at that point I had done a little bit of reading on the symptoms I'd had, and I thought, no, that could be it. And that was the first one. I went there, and then he said, come back a week later, because he had to go through all the MRIs and all the other tests that we did. And I went back with my wife, and I remember we were both sitting in the office, and he said it, and at that point I was like, yeah, no worries, so I'll deal with it, whatever. And then 24 hours later, I went into a spiral, almost a meltdown, I reckon, and that lasted probably a good 3 or 4 months, where I was just really not engaged with anything. I just couldn't comprehend what was going on. I was living in denial, and I didn't think the neurologist was wrong, but I hoped he was wrong. And then it sort of went on for a while. I'll never forget my wife. She called me up one day and she said, you need to show these daughters, I've got 3 daughters, and she said, you need to show these girls when you're facing adversity or something not going your way, you need to be strong. And from that day on, it's been go from there. It's a funny story, like, because one's at the time, so one's 15 now, 12 and 6, so it's very different levels of engagement. Well, my 6-year-old, she's on another planet. She lives her own world, and I don't think she even knows. It doesn't bother her. But my older two they were really good. Like, they understood, and they asked a few questions, but it's a funny thing, like, because to look at me, you wouldn't know that I've got it. A lot of people I tell go, oh really? They really just can't comprehend it, because I don't have a very noticeable tremor, and like my walking, there's no problems with that, and obviously my speech is still good, and cognitively, like, I'm still working shift work. So with the girls, I think they don't really see it either. So I think they just see me as me, and then they haven't really, we just went about our business, if that makes sense. She is probably she's the strongest woman I know, and I'll never forget, I'm big and a bit upset now. We were sitting at the bench, and I remember she looked at me and she said, it doesn't matter what happens to you, I'll look after you. And I knew, what can you do? We both thought we've got to deal with it, and an opportunity came up with her work to take, because she was working part-time with the kids, so she said, I'm going to take this opportunity to work, to take a full-time position, and she has, and she just our system. So, and that's a difficulty that we both face, is we're always thinking, what's around the corner? What does the future hold for me in terms of work-wise, and how are we going to get by? Because I'm only 40, and that's a lot of working years to go. And as both of us being 40 years of age, life doesn't stop, it keeps going. The kids don't stop doing their millions of activities and school drop-offs, and if that makes sense. So she's been wonderful. Like, I can't speak more highly of her. Well, I'm a police officer, and I have been for 15 years. I'm no longer frontline. That was a choice I made before I was diagnosed. So basically the day that I found out I rang my officer in charge, who she's been awesome, like, and then all the hierarchy from there have been really good too. And when I told them, they basically just said, "Yep, just deal with it as it goes, and as it progresses, we'll see what happens." But I honestly, it hasn't changed what I do. It doesn't change what I do work-wise. So I can still pass all of the operational skills tests, the tactics that we do, and it most definitely doesn't affect my day-to-day job with the QBS. But I know that one day it will.